Hey guys, Johnny Nerd out here. Today I'm going to try to answer a question that I get asked a lot on is belt drive systems, whether they should get them, whether it's worth the money, and what are some alternatives. So hopefully I'm going to answer that in today's video. Okay, so obviously if you're looking at this video, you're looking for something that's just ultimate reliability. You've been looking at getting with a belt drive, like a Gates belt drive, something like that, tied to a roll-off type internally geared hub. What's the problem with that? Why would I tell you not to do that? Money, that's why. Roll-off is $1,100. You add a belt drive to it, you're over $1,500 now just for an internally geared hub and a belt. Do I recommend doing that? Generally, no. Obviously, if you need it, then go for it. If you're, the Swiss Army and you need to be going into mountains and you have zero chance for failure, then I would do that. But if you're like me and you're like, well, I just really don't want to be snapping chains, I don't want to be braking, I don't want my bike to break down somewhere out in remote areas, I would recommend going with a single speed chain versus a belt drive paired with a internally geared hub. Single speed chains are, in my opinion, 70% as strong as a belt drive. And they cost maybe 5% of what a belt drive is going to cost. A belt drive setup is going to run you around $300 on the low end. A single speed setup is going to cost you around $8 on the low end. You don't have to change out any of your cassettes. You don't have to buy all the adapters to change your front sprocket into a belt, and same with the rear. You got to change all those cogs out to make them accept belts. Then you also have to buy the belt, which for some reason is just ungodly. And then if it ever does break, and belts are not problem free, they still have their own set of problems. They still slip, you still have to keep them adjusted, you still have to, there's still maintenance with a belt. For me, I just know if I break a belt, I'm 2 weeks out for a replacement because I got to order the belt, I got to wait for it to come. If I break a single speed chain, I could go to any bike shop within a mile of me and get a new single speed chain for cheap too. I mean, they're $8 maybe, and they're strong. Single speed chains are very strong compared to a multi-speed chain, like a 6 to 8 speed or something. They're a lot thicker, they're a lot stronger. They're not as, big as a motorcycle chain, but they're somewhere in between. Much more closer to a bicycle chain, obviously, but they're much stronger. So if you're thinking about getting a belt drive, I really think you should consider getting a single speed chain setup. I think it's going to save you a lot of headache in the future. I rode one for almost 2,000 miles on my Sturmey Archer 5-speed, and I never broke that chain once. And I think I lubed it up maybe 3 times in the 2 years that I rode it. With better care, you could probably make that thing last 4,000 or 5,000 miles. Obviously, it depends on how you ride it. But if you want the best bang for your buck, don't be looking at belt drives. Look at single speed chain drives, which any internally geared hub can pretty much take a single speed chain. You don't need a special setup for it. And if you get a Bafang mid-drive, you could run a single speed chain off the stock chain ring as well. Even the Leckies or anything. It's just way easier, and you're gonna net 70% of the benefit of having a belt drive and only spend 5 to 10% of the cost to get that. And for me, because I look for value, that's hands down the way to go. But if you're looking for just all out, like you work for the Swiss Army and you're doing rescue missions out in the Alps to get people, okay, then you might want to look into getting a belt drive because you have zero chance of failure, or as close to it as possible. But otherwise, for us normal folk, let's stay with the single chain. All right, thanks guys.